In today's podcast, I am going to answer some of the more common questions people ask about job interviews. Questions such as, how can I overcome interview nerves and anxiety? What should I say when answering the question, tell me about yourself? And what should I do if I can't answer some of the questions? If you want to pass your job interview, make sure you watch this podcast. It is very educational. And just very quickly, if you are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button right now. I say that because literally thousands of you are getting hired at the first attempt. I can only help you if you are subscribed. Please hit the like button and tell me the name of the job role you are being interviewed for in the comment section below the video so I can give you some extra help. Okay, here I am in that brilliant podcast about to answer the most common questions people ask about job interviews. Please take notes.
Okay, so first things first, what is the real purpose of a job interview?
The purpose of a job interview is threefold. First of all, a job interview is designed to see whether you can actually do the job regarding your skills, knowledge, and qualifications. That's the first purpose of a job interview. The second purpose is to see whether you have the motivation and passion to do the job. Because it's all well and good having the experience and the qualifications, but if you're not passionate about your work, you won't get hired. And the third purpose of a job interview, and this is really, really important, is to assess whether you are the type of person who will fit into the team at the company or organization. So the three purposes of a job interview are to see whether you can do the job, certifications and qualifications wise. Number two, to assess whether you have the passion and motivation to actually do the job. And number three, to see whether you will fit into the team.
How long does a job interview last?
A job interview will typically last between 20 minutes and 1 hour. However, it's very much dependent on the length of your answers. So for example, if you give quick answers or you can't answer some of the questions, the interview won't last very long. It also depends on whether the hiring manager has a good vibe about you early on in the interview. For example, if they say to you, introduce yourself, and you give a weak response, they might decide to cut the interview short. But typically, an interview will last between 20 minutes and 1 hour.
So who will interview me?
It very much depends on the size of the company or organization. For example, I own and run a relatively small company. I employ 8 people. I am the one who always carries out the interviews. If the organization is larger, there will usually be a dedicated hiring manager, or it will be someone from the human resources department. Typically, another person who will conduct the interview along with the hiring manager will be the manager or supervisor of the department or team you will be working in.
Okay, so now I know what to expect. How should I prepare leading up to the interview?
To prepare for a job interview, I recommend you do 3 things. Number one, make sure, and this is very, very important, you read the job description, because on the job description, there will be a list of the skills and strengths needed in the position. And of course, when you answer the interview question, what are your greatest strengths, you can then align your strengths with those featured on the job description. The second important thing you should do to prepare for your interview is to quickly research the company. This is very important. Go onto their website, About Us page, find out what they do, the products and services they sell, and also follow them on social media so you are aware of their latest news stories. And then the third thing to do to prepare for your interview is to practice your answers to the most common interview questions. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job? What are your greatest strengths? What is your biggest weakness? How would you deal with a conflict with a coworker? And why should we hire you?
On the day itself, how early should I arrive to a job interview?
It very much depends whether it's a face-to-face in-person interview or an online interview. If it's a face-to-face interview, I always recommend the candidate arrives at the venue 15 minutes before the interview scheduled start time. You can either sit in your car outside and read the job description, or you can sit inside in the reception area reading again the job description. If you decide to sit inside the venue or location of your interview, make sure you are respectful to the receptionist, because I know a lot of hiring managers will speak to the receptionist after the interview and they will say, what was the person like when they arrived? Were they professional and respectful? If you are undertaking an online or virtual interview, then I strongly recommend you log on at least 5 minutes before the scheduled start time. And also make sure you are familiar with the online interview platform. That is very important. So punctuality is crucial when arriving and getting ready for your job interview.
What document should I bring to an interview?
I recommend a candidate takes 2 documents with them to their job interview. The first one is your CV or resume, because most likely the interviewer will say to you, walk me through your resume. And if you haven't memorized its contents, you are going to struggle. And that gets the interview off to a negative start. If you take your CV or resume with you to the interview, you can get it out and read from its contents. The second document you should take with you, and this is a brilliant one, is a 30, 60 and 90-day plan of action, a printed document that tells the hiring manager what you are going to do in the role within the first 3 months of starting work to add value. This is a printed document you give to the hiring manager when answering the question, why should we hire you? So you can say, you should hire me because I am ready-made for this position regarding my skills, enthusiasm, passion and knowledge. And you should also hire me because I have created a 30, 60 and 90-day plan that tells you what I will do in this role to add value to the team, and I would like to give you a copy. You then give the hiring manager a copy of that document that they can read once you have left after the interview. And if anyone wants to download my ready-made 30, 60 and 90-day plans for interviews, they can click that link in the top right-hand corner of the video at any time and go through to my website, passmyinterview.com.
Should someone practice their answers before an interview?
Yes, 100%. I strongly recommend a candidate sits down in front of either a friend or relative or even in front of a mirror and practices giving their answers to the most common questions. This will help the candidate feel the pressure they will be under during the real interview. So when you start talking in a real interview, it can be quite challenging. However, if you have practiced your responses previously, then things will run smoothly.
So if I wanted to make a really strong first impression, what should I wear to an interview?
That is a brilliant question. I strongly recommend you wear a smart and professional outfit to your job interview. It doesn't have to be an expensive outfit, but it should look smart, professional, and portray to the hiring manager that you are making an effort in your appearance. If you turn up to a job interview wearing jeans, trainers, and a t-shirt, what does that tell me? It tells me that you don't care. You might still be perfectly capable of doing the job properly, but I will think to myself, you haven't made any effort. So I strongly recommend all candidates wear a smart and professional outfit to their interview. It's really important.
Okay, so I should always wear something formal, but is there a colour that works best for interviews?
The best colour to wear to a job interview is dark blue, and there's a specific reason for that. Dark blue represents trust and loyalty. It's a great colour to wear for any job interview.
Okay, so aside from what I'm wearing, does body language really matter in an interview?
Body language and interview technique are very, very important. For example, let's assume I have arrived for a job interview with you and I sit in the interview chair like this. It doesn't look very professional. However, if I sit upright in the chair, I rest the palms of my hands on top of my knees, and I smile, I am demonstrating positive body language and interview technique. So it's really, really important. As you probably know, I am someone who is very passionate and I always use my hands, but I would only use them occasionally in a job interview because these help me to express myself. So body language and interview technique are very important. Again, practice it before your interview.
Okay, so what are the most common interview questions I could expect?
The most common interview questions are, tell me about yourself or introduce yourself, and you can give the same answer to both of those first questions. Why do you want this job? Why do you want to leave your current job? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Or that question might be divided up into two. What are your greatest strengths? What is your biggest weakness? Why should we hire you? Tell me about a time when you worked as part of a team, and tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a co-worker. Also, at the end of a job interview, the hiring manager will normally say, do you have any questions for me? But those are the most common questions asked in all job interviews.
Okay, so when they open with tell me about yourself, what do they really want from your answer?
The tell me about yourself interview question is absolutely critical in any job interview. It is usually the first question that is asked. The hiring manager will ask this question because they want to quickly determine whether the candidate has the communication skills and strengths to do the job properly, and they will also ask this question to give the candidate the opportunity to start talking about something they should know a lot about themselves, because the candidate will be the most nervous at the start of their interview, and that is why they must practice their response. I recommend they keep their answer to approximately 60 seconds in duration, and they should also talk about the following four things. Number one, the skills they have that match the job description. Number two, any experience they can bring to the company, or if this is their first ever job role, their educational background. Number three, details of accomplishments they have achieved in their life so far. These tell the hiring manager the candidate is a high achiever with a track record of success. And then finally, number four, the type of person they are and what they will do in the role to add value to the company. Those four things stand for SEAT, S-E-A-T. And the candidate can easily remember my SEAT structure for tell me about yourself, because they will be sat down on a seat at their interview.
I know many people that find behavioural questions really difficult, including myself. How should I answer these questions?
Behavioural interview questions are designed to assess whether a candidate has the experience to meet the job role competencies. For example, behavioural interview questions are, tell me about a time when you worked as part of a team. That means teamwork is crucial in the job role. Tell me about a time when you had to solve a difficult problem. Problem solving is critical in the role. And also tell me about a time when you delivered excellent customer service, because customer service will be crucial in that particular job role. Whenever you answer behavioural interview questions, I recommend you use the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. So you begin your answer by telling the hiring manager the situation you were in. You then move on and briefly outline the task that needed your attention. You then give in-depth details about the action you took to complete the task, and you then finish your answer with the results following your actions. So always use the STAR method when answering any behavioural interview question.
So what should you do about those tricky questions they always ask about weaknesses and failures? How should you handle those?
These are trick questions. Tell me about a time when you made a mistake, and also what is your biggest weakness. They are trick questions because most candidates believe they should say, I've never made any mistakes, and also my biggest weakness is that I am a perfectionist. Do not say either of those things. What is your biggest weakness? And tell me about a time when you made a mistake. Are questions that are designed to assess honesty, because we all make mistakes and we all have weaknesses, and also your desire for self-improvement, what you are doing to improve on your weaknesses. So it is important that you actually give a weakness and also give a situation of when you made a mistake, but more importantly, what you did to learn from that experience. And just quickly, probably the best weakness to give in a job interview is that you struggle to say no to people, which means you sometimes overcommit. However, you are learning to assess your capacity for additional work before saying yes to ensure high quality work standards are always maintained.
So is it okay to ask questions about a salary in an interview?
My advice would be to avoid discussing salary in a job interview unless they said to you, what are your salary expectations? The only other time I would discuss salary is if they had offered me the job, but they hadn't informed me what the salary was. I would then say, I am interested in accepting the job. However, I would like to discuss salary. What is the salary you are offering? There's no need to discuss salary until you are offered the position, because you can always turn it down if the salary doesn't meet your expectations.
So this is a big fear of mine. What if they give you a question that you have no idea how to answer? How should you approach that?
If you don't know the answer to an interview question, first of all, do not worry. It does not mean that you are going to fail the interview, but you have several options. First of all, you can say this: would it be okay to revisit this question at the end of the interview? That gives you more time to consider your response, and the chances are they will forget to ask you that question anyway. The second option is to say something like this: I am unsure of my answer to that question. However, I will research it once I get home after the interview, and I will email you with my response. So that gives the candidate two options for when they can't answer some of the interview questions.
So sometimes I get really nervous. What's the best way to control nerves in an interview?
The first thing to remember is that nerves are perfectly normal both before and during a job interview. What we need to do is to get those nerves down to a level where the candidate can perform to the best of their ability. And they can do two things to get interview nerves down. Number one, they should always remember that a job interview is simply a meeting between the candidate and the employer to find out whether the candidate is suitable for the job role, and also the candidate wants to actually work for the company. So an interview is just a meeting between you and a potential employer. And the second thing to do before your interview is to start telling yourself you are excited about the interview. Try it. It really works. You should start telling yourself that you are excited about the interview because it's a new experience and it is an opportunity for you to find out how the interview process works. You have nothing to lose. Go for it at the interview and tell yourself you are excited about that interview. Your mindset will change.
What questions should I ask at the end of the interview?
It always surprises me at the end of a job interview when I say to the candidate, that's the end of the interview, do you have any questions for me? When they say, no, it's okay, you covered everything in the interview. That is a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity for the candidate to further demonstrate to me that they want to do great things in their work for my company. So I recommend the candidate asks 3 smart questions. First of all, they should avoid questions about time off, benefits, or salary. Instead, ask these 3 questions. Number 1, what is it that the top performing employees do in this company to achieve success? That's a great question. The second question they should ask is this one: can you please tell me more about the team I would be a part of in this role and their responsibilities. And the third and final question is a brilliant one. What challenges is the team currently facing, and what can I do in this role to help overcome them? Write those 3 questions down on a sheet of paper and take them with you to your interview. They will definitely impress every hiring manager.
And finally, how should I wrap up an interview? What should I say to leave a lasting impression?
Once you have asked your 3 questions at the end of your interview, I recommend you give a powerful closing statement. This is the final thing you will say, and the final thing the hiring manager will remember you for once you have left. Say something like this. Just before I leave, I would like to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity today to interview for this position. The interview process has made me even more excited about the possibility of working for your company. I look forward to hearing from you in due course. Thank you very much. If you say that, it is positive and the hiring manager will be impressed. Okay, now the next thing to do to accelerate your learning even further is click that link right now in the top right hand corner of the video. Go through to my website, passmyinterview.com, and you can instantly download my brilliant job interview preparation pack. This is a fantastic resource. It will help you pass every job interview you ever attend. Here's what you get. You will get my salary negotiation script. I will teach you how to answer the difficult question, what are your salary expectations? You will also get my 17 best questions to ask at the end of an interview. Don't forget, choose 3 questions to ask from the list of 17. You will also get my brilliant body language techniques training. I will teach you how to create a brilliant impression throughout your job interview. You will also get the 30, 60 and 90-day plans that you can print off and take with you to your interview and give to the hiring manager when answering that difficult question, why should we hire you? You will also get my top 25 best words to say in your interview and my brilliant interview closing statement. And as if that wasn't enough, you will get my ready-made CV and resume templates plus 50 top scoring hiring manager approved answers to difficult interview questions. To get everything in your inbox within 2 minutes from now, click that link and go through to my website, passmyinterview.com. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and also connect with me on LinkedIn. I have put my LinkedIn link in the description below the video. It is always an honor and a pleasure to connect with like-minded professionals such as yourself. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the very best. For getting hired, have a great day.